Hey guys, and here we are back with another video and another Android TV box, and in this particular case the Mecool KM3, which is a really interesting box but has one thing that might disappoint or not, it depends. Now in terms of the box itself, it's well built. It has a metallic structure and then it has this glossy plastic on the top that really looks nice. In terms of hardware, it's well packaged. It has the AM Logic S905X2, which is a really nice SoC with 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of flash storage, running Android TV OS 9, which is great for this kind of machine. Connectivity wise, we will find here on the left hand side a USB 2.0, one USB 3.0, a micro SD card slot, and then at the back a power input jack, HDMI, Ethernet connection, and an AV output. So in terms of the overall look, the overall feeling of this box, not bad at all. The remote itself also the same. It is the usual remote that we find in official Google boxes like the Mi Box and so on. It has all the features. This is a Bluetooth remote. I did test it out. The microphone works really well, even not having a perfect English, well, far from it, perfect English accent. So it works really well. The range is good, so the feeling is really nice. No complaints whatsoever right over here. Now moving to benchmarks, we will see a couple of things. In terms of the Ethernet connectivity, the maximum is 100 megabits per second on download and on upload. Wi-Fi, I would not suggest. I'm not sure if I record the screen, but I would not suggest because the values are low. So if you are doing some browsing, it's okay, but for movie playback and so on and so forth, I would suggest the Ethernet connection. Now if we take a look at disk speed, we will find that the storage is actually quite fast, and we can see that when we open and close apps because the machine is quite fast. And then in terms of Geekbench and Antutu, it's in line with machines with the same SoC, so nothing special right over here. When we move to media playback and starting with Netflix, which might be, as I said in the beginning of the video, one thing to consider because Netflix is not available on this device, at least in an official manner. And believe me that I did try a lot of versions of this app, downloading APKs and also using Aptoide to install the Netflix several versions, and did not work. The only solution that I found was to download a APK from the mobile version of Netflix, installing it, and then it works. But in terms of quality, we will be limited to SD quality, which is not great for those of you that pay, like myself, for the maximum package of Netflix and we want 4K and we have a 4K TV. So this will depend. If you really care about Netflix, this will not be the best purchase. If you don't care at all for Netflix, then this is a really interesting machine. Nonetheless, if you are looking for a machine that plays 4K in terms of Netflix, I will leave a link down below for the Mi Box S, which in my opinion, in terms of Netflix and price to performance, is one of the best machines out there. Now moving on to the rest of my tests. In terms of YouTube, you will be able to play everything up to 4K, no issues at all, with a very smooth playback. And then in terms of decoding video, I did test out Kodi with my multimedia library, and I'm talking about H.264 8-bit videos at 1080 MKV files with no issues at all right over here. So for those that are looking for a machine capable of decoding video, this one works really well. I also tested a few samples and it passed them all. I'm talking about 10-bit, H.264, H.265, also 8-bit up to 4K, and the only two samples that did not work out were the Big Buck Bunny, 4K at 60 frames per second, and also 4K at 30 frames per second. And if you ask me, hey Robert, why is that? I don't have any explanation because the hardware is totally capable of decoding, but there might be something on the firmware that needs to be tweaked so that it can decode these formats. But I wouldn't worry too much because I was able to run my old multimedia library. And after all, that's all that matters. Now moving to the gaming department, in terms of the Android platform, we will be just fine playing those games available on the Play Store. And then moving to game streaming, once again the machine behaved really well, so I had a great experience game streaming games from our PC to the Android TV box that we can place on a living room or a bedroom or whatever, and I was able to stream at 1080 60 frames per second with a great experience playing Gas Guzzlers. And guys, basically this is it. This is a really interesting machine when we look at the hardware, especially having 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of flash storage. The only downside that I see right over here is regarding Netflix. All the rest, really good experience, and for the price, it's worth it. If you are looking on the other hand for the Netflix, I will leave a suggestions down below for the Mi Box S, which doesn't have as much RAM and doesn't have as much storage, but it will play Netflix up to 4K. Guys, hopefully this video was helpful in some way, and if it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto Jorge, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.